So today we're going to be covering 10 holy grail fragrances that I think every guy should have in their collection at one point or another. Maybe you pick one of these up, you like it for a little while, you wear it for a little while, and then maybe you get tired of it. Maybe it becomes something that isn't really for you and you sell it or give it away or whatever. That's cool. But I would say when you take a look at these 10, a lot of these have one thing in common, and that's that a lot of people are going to kind of be working towards these. Not even necessarily in terms of price point, because not all of these are crazy expensive, some more so than others. They're relatively obtainable though, but a lot of what it is just getting your taste to evolve to that level where you can appreciate it. Not all of these are beginner level. They're ones that you'll see people who have been into collecting for years talk highly about, and maybe if you're someone that's newer, it doesn't really look like something that you would be into right now, but you would kind of work up to it in the future. I know for a lot of these, when I was first starting out, I was kind of looking at those and being like, all right, yeah, one day I'm probably going to be liking something like that genre of scent. And that's what we have here today. I think a lot of you guys would benefit from owning a bulk majority of these at one point or another. So I will provide links to these down below to discounters so you can pick them up at the prices I referenced in this video. I'm posting deals on my community tab all day, every day. If you want to save money, that's the place to be. Doing $500 giveaways over there every month as well. So make sure you get subscribed so you can save money and maybe win some money as well. We got to get some sweet iris in that collection of yours. If you don't have any already, this would be a great place to start. Dior Homme Intense. Now, what I mean by that is this would be a good place to start the video off. If you are just getting into iris fragrances of the sweeter variety, you would either probably better off sampling this or starting with something like Gentleman Eau de Parfum or something along those lines, maybe even Valentino Uomo Intense before you work your way up to this. This is kind of the one where you can start dabbling with iris, get into some of the sweeter ones, and then work your way up to the top. For me, believe it or not, I did the opposite. This was actually the first one. I had a sample of it first, and I tried it, and then got into it, and from there picked up EDP, Gentleman, Valentino Uomo Intense, and so on. But I did sample it first, and it worked out really well in my favor. I loved it right away. But just because I bought a sample of it and ended up liking it doesn't mean I bought it right away, a bottle that is. I actually waited a little while, and it's something that I was kind of just working my way up towards, and I'm super glad that I have it now. This will always be just one of those grail pieces for me that I love. Next up, we have Parfums de Marly Layton. So this is one that is going to come in at a bit of a higher price point, where maybe you would set this on your list of goals to, grab something like this at one point or another. Maybe treat yourself to it from a nice special occasion or whatever it may be. Just something you can kind of work your way up to. I think a lot of people really are looking towards Parfums de Marly these days when you're wanting to get into a niche brand that's still going to be easy to wear and mass pleasing. At one point, Creed was really the go-to for that, but they've kind of lost their way a little bit. Just the constant reformulations and the price increases has been something that has really soured a lot of people, understandably. So Parfums de Marly is kind of filling that role, and I gotta say they're doing a great job. Layton is kind of one of the main ones. In fact, probably is the main one. Pretty much anyone who knows Parfums de Marly knows about Layton, and this is probably where 99% of people start if they're getting into Parfums de Marly, and a great one to have in your collection. It's a workhorse. Next up, we have L'Eau d'Issy Pour Homme Noir Ombre by Issey Miyake. So whenever this is in stock, I get to talk about it because that means you guys can buy it. I don't like featuring things that you just can't get. That's just no fun, right? And so whenever this pops up, I always try to work it into videos so that way you guys can pick up a bottle for yourself, and it just gives me more time to talk about a scent that I think is fantastic, and I really wish it was a little bit more readily available. So you can get 100 ml bottles for this for about $74 online at the link down below. Great price for this one. And it's all about, of course, the amber. It's ambery, it's sweet, it's a little bit leathery, it's a little bit smoky, very addicting, very sexy. And this is kind of the pinnacle of men's designer amber scents. It's just really, really nice stuff, and a great little goal to work towards and just to cherish in your collection if you want something that really is quite unique, given that it is still yet a designer scent. Up next, we have Azzaro Wanted by Night. So this is just really, really, really good stuff and very affordable. 100 mil, usually under 50 bucks, 45, 47, somewhere around in there. And it's worth every single penny. If you ever have a chance to pick this one up, I always say, get yourself a bottle. It's got cinnamon, fruity notes, tobacco, and it's the original Wanted, but really a nighttime twist. So the name is very fitting. It's spicy, it's sweet. The tobacco in here is not too overbearing, so it doesn't make it really difficult or challenging or anything like that. It doesn't reduce the mass appeal. In fact, overall, I would say this fragrance is actually a little bit more sexy than something like the original Wanted. And again, it's a low price point type of scent, but I still do think it is a must-own Grail piece for guys if you're just into collecting and you want to have a nice arsenal, a nice collection built up that you can use for a whole bunch of different situations. This one is going to have all of your bases covered in the fall and winter time, and at this price point, it's just hard to go wrong with. Next up, Prada Luna Rossa Black. Now this one here is all about the Tonka bean. Yeah, that's basically it. Tonka bean, a little bit of musk in here, very powdery, but very delicious. I mean, there's something so cool about this stuff. It's so simple, so unbelievably simple. It's a dusty, powdery men's fragrance. Not your typical traditionally masculine scent. Very important to keep that in mind here. This is going to be much more new style given that it is powdery and sweet to the max. It's not for everybody. I've seen plenty of comments of people saying it just isn't for them, and it makes sense. This is different. It's out there, and it really is a scent that for the right person will captivate you. I know for me, it's just something where I smell it and I go, you know what? There is hardly anything to this. Like, it's not challenging in a way of like, oh, you know, I wear it and I start picking up on this note and I'm trying to figure out what this note is. Like, it's dusty, Tonka, powdery smell, and that's it. But it's done in such a unique way to where it just smells amazing. It's refreshing while also being sweet. So it's not citrusy, it's not fresh, but it has this refreshing kind of uplifting, warming feeling about it that I think smells amazing. This is one where a lot of people, especially beginners, may have to work their way up to. Some guys getting into collecting might smell this and think it smells like a grandma or something. Kind of like Dior Intense, right? So be careful with it. Work your way up to it, but it's definitely a nice piece to have around. Moving on, we have Tom Ford Tobacco Oud. So this is a private blend scent that, unfortunately, is discontinued, but you know me, I only feature things that you can actually buy. And again, every time I get the chance to feature something like this, I like to do it because I've talked about this quite a bit on the channel in the past because not too long ago it was readily available. Pretty much every discounter stocked it for good prices. It was easy to get, right? And so I bring it up here and there. But then once it started getting hard to find and sold out all over the place, then obviously I wouldn't talk about it. And there's been many lists, especially beast mode lists, where this would have been a perfect fit, but I couldn't feature it at that time. So this is me saying right now, beast mode fragrance. If you look at any of my lists about longevity that will last through a shower, projection that will fill up a room and stay there, fragrances that leave a huge scent trail, this applies to all of those. A monstrous beast mode tobacco boozy scent. It smells amazing. Also not for everybody, but especially when this one was in production and readily available, this was kind of one of the grails from Tom Ford, you know, after they already knocked out Tobacco Vanille and Tuscan Leather, right? All of those main private blends. This would kind of be the next one where they're like, oh, I got to get a bottle of that one because it did catch some hype a little while back, a few years back. And honestly, it's worth it. Very unique, beast mode, and just truly something really special here. One of my favorites up next from Dolce & Gabbana, it's the One Royal Night. So I could have easily put in the original Eau de Parfum, but that's too easy, right? That's one that a lot of beginners will actually probably be getting as well, given just the sheer amount of hype that it has. Just that kind of trickles down into the beginner stages. So you probably have that. But my recommendation is after you get your the one, EDT or EDP or both, at some point you got to put this on your list. It's an exclusive edition, but it's really easy to get and it's very affordable as well. But it's one that I think a lot of guys would gloss over, especially when you're just getting started. Maybe just seeing the bottle, seeing the design of it might intimidate you. You might think that it's going to be a little bit hard to pull off. Maybe it looks like something that has a bunch of oud in it or something like Mysterious Night does, but this doesn't. Think of the one EDP, but better performing minus the tobacco, but amped up sandalwood creaminess. It's more smooth. It's a little bit more sweet, almost even a little bit more seductive. Very addicting stuff that I think every guy should have. So we already knocked out our sweet iris scent. We hit that right at the very beginning. Personally, I think you gotta have a fresh one too. I just think this note is what elevates your typical fragrance into something that is all of a sudden now much more unique just by adding in one ingredient. I really do think that this note's very powerful, and over time, as it continues to get used more, it might lose its impact a little bit. I don't think it's going to become the next Ambroxan or anything like that that's being completely overused, just because that note is much more easy to pull off in a multitude of different things, and it's more mass pleasing overall. Some designer brands aren't even going to want to push it this far with iris, and it's not even pushing it all that far, but some are going to be a little bit apprehensive. But it's Prada L'Homme for our fresh one here. So, of course, iris. There's some neroli in here, musk, woods. Very soapy, very fresh, very clean. And if you want a nice work scent or school scent, but you want to smell better than most everyone else around you, you want to take it to that next level, you want a bit more professionalism compared to your blue fragrance or aquatic, I don't see any reason why you would not pick this one up. Very mass pleasing, easy to wear, decent performance for what it is. Not a beast mode scent, but definitely decent for work environments. And it's one that I think every guy at some point is kind of looking up to getting. This one's usually around $100 or so, even on discounters. It's a little bit more pricey. People might not start out with it right away, but they kind of get their way up there, and I think that's pretty cool. Okay, we're going to end this video with two parfums, okay? First one is going to be Tom Ford Noir Extreme Parfum. So this just came out this year. It's already hit discounters, so you can save a little bit of money off of retail there, which is always nice. And basically, the way I like to describe this one is if you're familiar with the original Noir Extreme, the Eau de Parfum, you're going to be familiar with this. The main difference is, right off the top, you get some leather. So it's making it a little bit more masculine, a little bit more interesting. There's a little bit more of a woodiness in here as well, like a cedar wood kind of smokiness even. It smells fantastic. And again, I love Noir Extreme. I think it's an amazing scent. Performance is actually kind of an issue on that one with some people. It's not, definitely not a beast mode scent. And it's not awful on me, but for the price point, I wouldn't be opposed to having a stronger version, right? And so when you can spring for a little bit more money and get this one here, which is much better performing overall, this is kind of the way a lot of people are going. And for me, I like that leather. I like the woods in here, the smokiness. It's a little bit more masculine, a little bit more interesting, a little bit more depth going on. And while the Extreme, the original, was probably one that people kind of looked up to and wanted to get someday, I would almost say, hey, put the Parfum on your list in replacement of that. Just work up towards this gold bottle, because I don't think you'll go wrong with this flanker. And again, that other Parfum, as promised, a blue fragrance. It's Bleu de Chanel Parfum. So it's not like your typical blue. You know, this isn't Sauvage. It's not YSLY, EDP, or even Parfum. It's not Aqua Atlantique, right? It's just not your typical blue, okay? Especially this Parfum. Now, this Parfum is also going to be the most expensive blue fragrance on the market, talking about designers. Yeah, there are some niche fragrances out there that are blue fragrance with the whole theme and are more expensive than this. As crazy as it is, and I have some of those as well. Talking designers, though, the cream of the crop in terms of your blue fragrances, price-wise. Some may argue scent-wise. Of course, it's all subjective, right? So another thing with that is you can't really get this discounted either. So you're kind of just stuck just buying it at full retail. So this is one where if someone samples it, someday they're going to get it. You know, they're working towards it. Maybe you know you love Bleu de Chanel and you're not going to sample it. You're just going to blind buy a bottle once you want to spend the ridiculous amount of money on this, right? So it's one you just kind of work for. But I can tell you this, it is a worthwhile investment. I love Bleu de Chanel, and I've got a whole bunch of stuff I can choose from, and I still find time to wear this. I mean, I love this DNA so much. Love all the versions, but the Parfum, to me, is the best, and it's definitely a holy grail scent in my collection, and probably for a lot of other people's as well. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. 10 holy grail scents that I think every guy should own at least at some point, or at the very minimum, at least try. Links will be down below. That's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.